Good morning, and welcome to another edition of Coffee and Conversation with James and Melissa. I'm James.
And I'm Melissa.
And we're here inviting you to some of our conversations we have in the morning with coffee. Now, sometimes it's just me and her talking about all kinds of crazy things, but now, and every once in a while, we're bringing in our friends. And this person is our friend. We both know him. He's waving to you right now. It is Bryon Pedevillano. Hi, Bryon.
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
Bryon, good morning. Happy coffee morning.
Yes.
How are you?
I'm well. I'm doing well. Happy to start the week off, but it's Monday, so we'll see what this week brings.
It is Monday, but you're looking good, so it's a good start of the week.
You're both looking well, also.
I will say we are the gray gang. We all have gray somewhere. I love it. It's like wisdom. It's wisdom.
There you go.
Somehow I got more than the rest of y'all, so I don't know how that worked out, but
that's true. Let me sip my coffee tea now. Okay, right. So we're on JLJ Media, which is my network, of course, and we have 35 shows, all kinds of goodness. So check it out. And this show is on youtube.com/JLJ Media. So like, subscribe, comment. And we're also on the audio platform. So we're everywhere, like Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google, Apple, wherever you get your podcast, you can get this one too. So check it out, hit the follow button, and find out we have new episodes. And check out the coffee, and grab your coffee too, or tea, or whatever you drink in the morning. Well, whatever you drink in the morning. And join us. We'll have a conversation. You never know where the conversation may lead. So Melissa, I'm gonna let you lead our conversation this morning with our coffee. And what would you like to start off with?
I'd like to start off with asking Bryon, what is his current handicap?
Oh, golf stuff. Uh-oh.
Yeah, already into the golf. My current handicap, let's see, is it who's going to be watching this? Because I can't let everybody know.
Yeah, don't forget, I know people you know. So
yeah, I'm embarrassed to say my handicap is only a 17 right now. It's not bad, but as much as I play golf, I should be a lot better. In fact, I was out this weekend and just reinforced my 17. I still have fun when I go out there, but no, and sadly it's only a 17. So
17 though is really good, right? Because that's pretty much
basically a stroke a hole, right?
Yeah.
For those of you who don't golf,
that's like bogey golf.
Yeah, bogey golf, more or less.
Which for the amateur is really good.
Right.
You said you were out this weekend. It was super hot.
Yeah.
Triple digits.
Yes.
Why did you do that?
There's a whole bunch of stories I could share with about the weekend. So,
that's why we're here, Bryon.
Yeah,
right.
Conversation.
So my golf, I try to golf every weekend. It's something I like to do. I have a couple friends I play with, and I've even go out by myself if I can't find anyone to play with. So we have a local club here that we belong to. We go out and play once a week, and it gets hot, but you sit in the cart, you have some drinks with you. Usually it's just water. But it wasn't too bad this weekend. The air quality was actually pretty poor. I'm sure you guys, where you are, lots of fires and whatnot. So the air quality was worse. But what was worse than the triple digit heat was actually we bought a puppy on Saturday in our household. So my Saturday consisted of inviting a puppy into our household and then staying up most of the night with it. So I was pretty exhausted. So I probably still have some bags under my eyes. Last night was night number 2. So it's a combination of golf and a new puppy, and that was a very full weekend for me. But it was a fun weekend.
Bryon, I look at that and I go, wow, how things have changed for us. Because 20, 30 years ago, a weekend wouldn't consist of a new puppy and golf. That makes me laugh. It's like, that's your weekend. Okay. But I totally get it. I totally get it. I'm like, I'm tired just from hearing that. Because a puppy is like a new baby. It's like a new baby.
It's like having a newborn all over again. My wife and I were talking about that this morning. We were having a little bit of coffee, and he was up at 6 this morning. And I was like, it's just like,
boy.
Yeah, his name's Enzo. He's a little mini Aussie doodle, and he's gray and black, kind of like me.
So he would fit perfectly.
He would fit our look. Yeah.
The next time you guest, you can bring Enzo.
Put him right here on my lap. But so it's like having a newborn. It's crazy. You wake up with him, you take him outside. And,
Wait, what kind of dog is he again? You said it's a
mini Aussie doodle. So
what the F is that?
I know, right? So I'll probably get hammered if anybody. I get mocked a lot because it's what they call a designer dog, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So, it's half Australian Shepherd and half poodle. So
who does that? Who
you
does
know,
that?
people have too much. They doodle everything these days. Though,
They
by the
do.
way. There's golden doodles and poodle doodles, and
It's the doodle do.
yes. You didn't know this was going to be a dog podcast, but just turned into it. And for the record, I was never a dog person. Growing up, we had a couple puppies in my house, but for the last, my daughter turned 18 a week ago. And for the last 18 years, we're like, we don't need a dog. And my son will be 16 in December. So we're like, we're almost to the point we don't even worry about anything. And then we bring a puppy into the house just to mix things up a bit.
The puppy's yours then. It's not the kids. It's you guys's.
Well, it's going to end up being mine pretty much, because I was out at 2:00 this morning in my slippers in the backyard trying to get it to go to the bathroom. So I'll own that.
Yeah. There's a whole science to teaching a dog where to go.
Right.
Potty, like to train them where to go and to train them to go outdoors as opposed to like in the yard. And when we got our Siberian Husky 3.5 years ago, we totally missed that lesson. And she will not go number 2 outside of our yard. She won't. She will race home from a walk so she can go to the bathroom.
She has no road game, huh? She's almost
None.
no road game at all for that dog.
Speaking though, I gotta say, speaking of the weekend, we had an experience with our Husky as well. She had gotten into THC, right? So that's poisonous to dogs and cats.
Okay.
And there's none in the house. And this is the second time in 3 months. So she's either picking something up on her walks or somebody's coming by the yard. Yeah. So we were up. My husband spent the night on the couch with the stoned dog. After she came back from the emergency vet, which, thank God they're there. But yeah, so we have an issue with our dog and trying to keep her safe. So more to come on that as we.
So I need to come to your house and walk the perimeter and see what's going on. Okay, got it. That's what I heard. I'm like, okay, 1 second. I have your address somewhere. I got it. Okay.
James will be there in no time flat.
I'll sniff it out for you. Don't worry. We'll get to it.
Okay. Well, you come do that because she can't have it anymore. It makes her really sick.
I like how you quickly qualified, Melissa. Like, there's none in the house.
Right, none in the house. None in the house. I'm like, okay, girlfriend.
Well, the first time back in May, I got drilled by the vet on the phone.
Oh.
And our stepson lives with us. So the second she found out I had a stepson, she made all these assumptions like, are you sure?
Oh, wow.
I'm sure. He's more of a beer whiskey kind of guy.
He's like,
if the dog shows up drunk, then you'll know. But yeah.
Right, the dog's not drunk, it's stoned. Hello.
Right.
Not the stepson. That's my story. I love that. It's hard because dogs do pick up stuff when they're on their walk. And it's so fast. They're quick. You don't know what you're like. What's in your mouth? They're so fast. You don't know what they sniff. That's how they walk. That's how they navigate. So you never know what they're putting up their nose, so to speak. That's another story too. That is the 80s. But it's really tough. And sometimes they'll eat something wrong. It's like a little tiny something to eat, and you're like, they're stuck in there. It's crazy. But I love dogs. It was National Dog Day this weekend or whatever.
It was.
So we can talk about dogs. It's fine. We love dogs. I don't have any anymore, but I thought about getting one, but it's too much work, bro. It's too much work. He's already told me.
We were asking ourselves, why didn't we do it during pandemic time when we were locked down in the house? And Here we are, the dummies that went until it's finally starting to open up a little bit. And then, hey, let's lock ourselves indoors with a newborn puppy and see what happens. So but it's good to have him. He's been fun. So he's been 48 hours. I'm not tired of him yet. So we'll keep him around, see what happens.
I want to ask you a question because I don't play golf. I don't do that. So I want to know from you guys, why do you like golf so much? What does it bring for you?
Wow. Melissa, you probably
love it. Yeah. I just don't know. I don't get it.
Melissa golfs a lot too. I don't want to think it's just me. So
I don't get it. So I'm trying to figure out what it is you guys like about it.
Well, you think about being in nature.
Okay.
There is a competitiveness to the game of golf. There are usually people on carts bringing you refreshments all year round, so that's helpful. There's a huge social aspect to the game.
Okay.
But my dad and my grandfather golfed. And when I got into business, I saw that my dad was doing deals on the golf course. And so I thought naturally, right, that's what I had to do. And I would have started much younger had my dad taken more of an interest, because on parent-daughter day, my sister got to go to the zoo with my mom, and I got to go to the driving range with my dad.
That's so funny.
And like within 5 minutes, I had a blister on my thumb, and he had promised me a hot dog and a Coke. So dude, I want my hot dog, I want my Coke, I want to go home. And I waited an hour in the sun while he continued to practice his swing. And that was, preteen. And I didn't pick it up until my early 20s. Yeah. So I love the game. Had a much better experience in my 20s.
Yeah, well, yeah, definitely.
So,
yeah,
but
that's the thing.
I mean,
Melissa,
that was the drive of it. But it's a great way to connect body and mind, and then have that social aspect and be in nature. So it's cool.
Bryon?
Yeah, no, Melissa, you see, she's so smart. This she talks. I feel like she's in my head answering perfect. No, it's Melissa and I are in the same industry, and so you find that it's a good opportunity, to spend 4 hours, 5 hours with maybe a client or a friend or someone, and they're kind of a captive audience, right? You're usually sitting either right next to them in a cart, or you're out, so it's a nice time. It's not forced. Clearly you've got something in common with the person you're with, and all things, going right. It's a good time, but I always, and I talk to people who agree, and a bad day on the golf course isn't so bad after all. If you spend some time out there and you're with friends or family or colleagues, it's always fun. It sounds cheesy, but it's a good time to be out there, and a little connection to nature, maybe a little exercise. It's a fun time. I enjoy it. But like I said, it can be one of the most frustrating things in your life is trying to golf and trying to get better. But if I was that good, I wouldn't be doing my day job in the insurance industry. So it's good.
I mean, I'm a bowler, so I understand bowling. I mean, for me, I guess maybe it's similar, to that. I guess I have friends go, "Why do you bowl? That seems boring." I'm like, "It's not to me. It's not boring."
Well, bowling, it's funny. I just learned recently, Mookie Betts from the Dodgers. This guy's like a prolific bowler. The guy's got multiple 300 games.
Wow.
So it's like there's someone who's like, he's an elite athlete, right? He's Dodgers at highest level. And they were talking about on the telecast the other day. He's got several 300 games to his name, which I bowled a few times, and I don't think I've ever come close to that. Maybe over several games, I've added up to 300, not in one game. So, bowling, that's a sport. Another one, it's hard, and,
I love it.
Enjoy it. Social.
Yeah, it is. You're right. Because now I'm trying to relate it. I guess it is. It's indoors, which I like, bad food, which I like, and drinks, which I like. But
you have someone bringing you, right? Refreshment.
Right, exactly.
There's a connection somewhere in there.
There is. But there's a skill. It's like I guess like golf, you're trying to get, it's a skill to it, trying to hit the pins, and I love it. I've done a couple 300 games in my life. It's been fun. I got a couple of turkeys in my life where you get the 3 strikes in a row. I've done all that stuff. It's fun. I love bowling. I have my own bowling ball that was made for me, my own shoes. I have giant size 14 feet. So I have shoes made for me. Because I also think it's weird wearing other people's shoes. I'm like, I don't do that anymore either. Yeah. But I had a bowling, because I'm left-handed, I had a bowling ball made for me. I'm left-handed. That's a whole other story. But yes. So if I like bowling, I'm bowling. I haven't bowled since the pandemic, so I think bowling. I think Lucky Strike is still is back on. I guess I don't know. I'm doing it yet. So
we'll have to plan a bowling outing then. There we go.
I'd love to.
You won't golf, but we'll bowl.
Yeah, I'll bowl, and I have bowling shirts and everything. I got all kind of stuff. Well, it's kind of crazy. It's like I dress for the occasion.
There we go.
I want to bring up something that I think is really interesting. As we're recording this will be out later, but as we're recording this, somebody I became friends with passed away yesterday, and it was Ed Asner. He was 91 years old, 9-time Emmy winner. I did a tribute to him online. I posted it online. He was a very nice guy to me. Every time we sat, I interviewed him like 4 times over the years. And he could be a little raunchy. He could be a little cantankerous, but he had good stories. And I just want to ask you guys, we're all around the same age, actually, and the same generation. A lot of our people are going from our childhood TV shows. So I want to ask you, how does that feel? Kind of like that we're now that generation where it's starting to happen, and do you see your TV shows differently now when you look back at them?
Yeah, that's it's funny because when I saw the name of this podcast, the first thing that came to my mind was Coffee Talk with Mike Myers on the SNL skit, right? So much like you guys, I was raised on Saturday Night Live, and so you see a lot, like you're saying, and that's a little bit of the more recent, but the comedy legends from the 70s and 80s that we've lost and are losing. It definitely it changes the way you look at entertainment, and we've lost a lot of people young, but someone like Ed Asner, that guy's he was a staple in the comedy community. But it is definitely, we've lost a few good ones this last year.
I feel old. I feel old. Like they like that show was 40 years ago. That show was 30. I'm like, really? That was 30 years ago? Right. How do you look at your TV shows and things back in the day now? Melissa, can you hear us?
Oh, yeah. Sorry. I was just listening. I got caught up in listening and thinking about television and how it's changed. Mm-hmm. So, I grew up on the Brady Bunch.
Yes.
And All in the Family.
Yes.
The Jeffersons.
Yes.
These are some great, comedic, Sanford and Son, like these are some great comedic actors. And then you look at comedy today, right? And it's so different because back then when we were watching TV, political correctness wasn't even not only a phrase, right? 2 words put together, it didn't have any meaning. Right. So, and I remember just laughing, my whole family sitting around the television laughing. And I kind of miss that, and I could say, I can't point to a comedy that really gets you just laughing for half hour. So I kind of miss that. And I don't know what the elements are, what's missing there. But that's what I remember, just a lot of laughter around the television. And can't really say that we have that on an ongoing frequent basis.
Yeah, the one that comes to mind for us is The Simpsons. That's one, that's another one, been on for a million years. And that one spanned the generations, and both my children, like I said, they're 16 and 18. So probably still a little questionable parenting, but they've been watching it for a few years. And, but we try to look at it from like an artistic lens, like, look how great this show is. But, it's kind of stood the test of time, and it's had some ups and downs. And, I enjoy watching it with the kids. And that's to your point, Melissa, it is fun to be able to sit down and have a shared laugh. The comedy isn't too bad where you got to feel a little uncomfortable in your seat, but there's some gray areas in there, but I enjoy it. That's exactly it. It's just shared time on the couch.
There's very few, and some of them are off the air now. Like Modern Family was one everybody could watch together. Yeah. I know a lot of folks like Big Bang Theory you could watch together. I mean, there's a few that you could, watch together. But you're right, Melissa, and you guys just not like. And see, I had to explain this to some of the young kids the other day. We're talking about this because I work in the industry. I work in it. So we're talking about. I told them, I said, there were 3 channels. The TV went off at like 2 a.m. Like it went off the air. They played the national where they played, and then it went off the air.
Banner, yeah.
And so I was going, "Banner, thank you." And they went off the air. I said there was no 24-hour. There was nothing. It was just you watch. You had to be home to watch. And I mean, and like you, Melissa, my summer evenings were fun back in the 70s and early 80s because we watched Three's Company and all these funny shows, and it was like, but we all watched it together. Like there was no DVR, no TiVo. There wasn't even VCRs yet. It was literally you had to tune in and watch it when it was on. Now we grew up with Bewitched, Beverly Hillbillies.
Yeah.
I had the biggest crush on Samantha Stevens. That was my girl. I was like, she's so beautiful. And then later, after I had a crush on her, then I had a crush on Lindsay Wagner from The Bionic Woman because she could tear a phone book with her hands. And she could run really fast. They had that beautiful long blonde. That's all blondes apparently. Then I had a crush on Farrah Fawcett Majors. She had that hair.
Who didn't?
Who didn't? Yeah. And see, but I was a kid. So now I look back at my father and the shows he used to watch, like Wonder Woman, I was like, oh, the Jiggle TV. I totally get it. That's what you're watching, Dad. Now I get it as an adult while you're watching it. I'm thinking as a kid, innocently, she's just so pretty. But yeah, you're watching everything bounce around and stuff. I get it. But it was like, but again, it was still, like you said, it was a shared laugh, a shared experience that nowadays, I don't think we have, with streaming and everything, with the betterment of technology, it also took away some of the personality of it. I think you guys kind of agree with that.
Yeah, the streamers, you're right. All the streamers, because now you just watch it on demand. You know,
Right.
We'll be in one room watching. You don't have to sit down at the same time and watch the show when it starts, and then you run to the bathroom real fast at the first commercial break, and then you get back and forth, and it's on, it's back on. You yell as they come and jump over the couch and make it back just in time. So yeah, I think the streamers have changed everything for us. You know, and again, but the libraries, we can introduce the generation to the fun stuff, the old stuff we were a part of and we got to watch growing up. So that there's the good trade-off there.
I remember when Cosby Show came out, every Black person I knew on Thursday from 8 to 8:30, the phone was off. You did not talk. You sat and you watched that show. And then when it became the whole must-see Thursday, where it was Family Ties and all these other things, and Cheer, all sorts. I mean, it was I remember Thursday night was like, don't bother us. And
Lock
then
it off.
Yep. Just you didn't. I remember in the '90s, the TGI Friday with the Full House and Sabrina Teenage Witch and all those. For me and my kids, that was, we didn't talk on the phone. You do anything. You watched Friday night from 8 to 10. That's what you did. I miss that. I'm smiling now. I'm just smiling thinking about it. You guys are smiling when I said it. It's like that's the feeling we had, wasn't it? That's the feeling.
Yeah, I actually remember paying the remote control. Was anybody else on the call? Yeah, I had to go change the channel.
Oh yeah. The TV.
You have to click it one way there.
Yeah, and so the big thing in the house was when we got a remote control. And of course, my dad controlled it. Like it was Dad's piece of equipment. No one touched it. I remember once it got lost and he freaked out, and so we were all scrambling to find this. But that was like a big moment for me. When the remote control came, because the kids didn't have to jump up and change the channel to the next show. And then I remember one of my first really positive role model influencers of women was Charlie's Angels. And I remember we had a neighbor at the time. We would all get together and we would all play Charlie's Angels. And we were detectives and we were going back and forth from houses and just playing out these plot lines. And we all had our favorites. And gosh, I don't know. I don't have young kids. Do kids have those kinds of role models today? I'd imagine they would, right?
See, I have grandkids and I don't think they do. I mean, I think I think music took over on some level. So a lot of kids are into music stars.
Sure.
I think more so than TV stars, I think. I don't know.
And YouTube stars like you, James, big YouTubers like James Lott Jr. But you're right, Melissa. You look at where we sat down, we watched for 30, but I am curious who your favorite angel was, though.
Me too.
You said everyone had their favorites.
It was Kate Jackson, because she was a smart one.
Wow. That's amazing.
There you
go.
Okay.
There you go.
Yeah.
But YouTubers, the YouTubers have taken it over, and the TikTokers, and I sound like an old boomer right now, but the TikTokers and YouTubers and
TikToker.
The kids, my kids, they're always showing me, hey, or they're sending it to me. And so I guess maybe here we go, come full circle on the shared experience. It's a 30-second clip of a TikTok, but they'll send it to me and I get to watch it and laugh with them. So maybe because our attention spans are so narrow now, but at least I get 30 seconds to laugh with them instead of 30.
Well, minutes. That's true, Byron, because it's funny because I became a TikTok star, obviously. I had a couple of videos go viral. So I know it's funny that it was reminiscent of when I was a kid, when we all watched the Who Shot JR, when we all watched the finale of Mass. It was that everybody kept saying, I saw your video. Yeah. So my cousins were calling me, I saw that video, you eat the bread in the refrigerator. I saw the video. Like, it almost reminded me of that experience where we all saw, the Olympics at the same time, or certain football, we're seeing, like, now, like, oh, that reminds me that you're right. So the kids have that, I guess. So Melissa, I think that's kind of, it's moved on to that. It's just different for us because we're a little older. Like, what does this mean? But I think that's what it is. Because they all talk about this one video. I hear from them, like, Uncle James, you see that video with them? I'm like, no, I didn't see it. And they like, dude, they show it to me. And Sometimes I'm like, okay, whatever. And sometimes it is funny. Sometimes it is funny. But they share that over and over again. They share that same video gets around somehow. And it gets on Instagram, it gets on Twitter, and it gets on. That's what. So yeah, Bryon, that's a good point. That's what it is now. It's the YouTube. Well, first it really was the YouTube for sure. Then Vine came out. It was Vine Stars. I was that for a minute. The 6-second videos. But TikTok is really taking over, and YouTube is still big, and Instagram influence is still big. So that's what the kids are looking at. Because when I talk to my grandkids who are young teenagers, they're like, "I like Dua Lipa." And I'm like, "Who's that?" I like Cardi B, or I like this. I mean, they're looking at those kind of people, or they'll name a name like Bethany Moda, and I was like, "Who's that?" And if I saw she makes like $1 billion from YouTube,
right?
I don't know who this chick was. And so I'm actually learning stuff too with that. But when my kids were kids, it was all the Disney stars, Nickelodeon stars. It was all them. And then before that was our time. It was all everything we saw on TV. So he's right. It has changed to that. I mean, anybody could be a star now in a weird way. I just read an article this morning, a show. There's a network I never heard before called Bounce TV. Never heard before in my entire life. But apparently they debuted a show with 4 black men about their friendship. All their last names are Johnson. They're not related. But it did 2.1 million views in one sitting. So it's saying it's setting records. So again, it's like that's a big fish in a small pond. Like that's something to look at.
Right.
And in my business, that's advertising and all that kind of stuff. But that's something to look at and go, okay, I have a video that did 40,000 views. And today I have part 2 of that video coming out, and it's getting so much buzz that it may surpass it. But that's being a big fish in a small pond. That's changed from the TV we grew up with, where everybody sat and watched 30 million people watch this, or 40 million. Luke and Laura's wedding on GH. They said it's the biggest daytime audience ever. 32 million people watched that wedding. I was one of them. I was in 7th grade.
I didn't even know Laura got married.
Back in 1981. Famous wedding, big famous wedding. Look it up, you'll see it's big and famous. Luke and Laura's wedding was this huge thing. You know.
Oh, we're talking General Hospital. Of course, I was there with you.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, hello, Luke and Laura.
Were talking about a YouTuber that just got married.
Oh no, sorry, Luke and Laura.
Sorry.
Yes.
Yeah, I was with you.
Yeah, I know you're with me. You were there.
I was like this.
Right. Luke and Laura. No. But I'm saying, that's just those days are just kind of gone.
Yeah.
They've morphed into something else, like Bryon said, they've morphed into something else where a video will get 100 million views, just not everybody watches at the same time.
Yeah.
It gets out there in the ether. You see this stuff.
Speaking of ether and getting out there, have you all seen the milk crate challenge?
Oh.
I just saw it this weekend.
Speaking of that,
I have to tell you, I laughed and winced and hurt all at the same time.
Have you seen anyone successfully complete it though? I mean, everyone I see is just people wiping out.
Yeah, and check this out. My hero, this gorgeous woman, is wearing at least 4-inch heels. No joke. She completed the task.
I saw that one.
Like a cat. She was so
fantastic.
She was so graceful and nimble, and she just was like walking up the stairs, and I'm like, this is going to be horrible. And when she came back down the other side, I'm like, that's my hero.
There you go.
Because I can't walk in 2-inch heels without kind of wobbling around.
Right.
She did the milk crate challenge.
I saw it.
Oh.
I have milk crates in my yard for my plants, and I never thought to put them together to do, climb them.
Well, it's all about getting eyeballs, right? Like people just want to say, hey, watch me break my neck. But, at least I'll get 500,000 views on TikTok or whatever as I fall to my death. But, that's what happens off a milk crate.
I know.
Scary.
I saw that. But what is going on? Because somebody said to me, don't you have milk crates in your backyard? And I go, yeah, we're not doing it. I'm like, we're not doing it. I'm like, that's not going to. James wants you to do many things. I dressed as a taco on a show earlier this year. I've done that. But I'm not going to be doing the milk crate challenge. And I saw this one chick. She was a ballerina. She had her ballet shoes on, and it was wine bottles going upstairs. And she walked the wine bottles with her toe pointed. And I was just like, so anyway, so I guess that's yeah, And you can make money. I mean, I make money off of TikTok. I actually do. So I make money off of TikTok. So you can make money off of it. So Ryan's right. Get the most eyes on you, it's the most money you'll make.
Right.
But it's crazy.
There we are. Milk crates.
I always wonder who was the first person who thought of that. It's just like all of a sudden it was there. People were talking about it. Like, who was that first person who said, "I'll put some milk crates together and we're gonna walk over it"?
Yeah.
It's like, who is that person? I mean, who thought of
Johnny
it?
Knoxville.
Yeah, that's Johnny Knoxville. He's still going. My
Still
son,
going.
he's like, Dad, Jackass 3 is coming out or whatever. We should go see it. I'm like, no, I'm not going to see that, you know. But Johnny Knoxville's like 50-something year old, and he's still shooting himself out of cannons. And I'm like, holy cow, you know.
Yeah, it's just that mindset of, you know, let's do something random and dangerous, and that people could really get hurt doing, and you have a guaranteed viewership.
For a while, they were just pouring ice buckets over their heads, right? So all these different challenges, and it goes from ice buckets to milk crates. You know, I could do one, but not the other. That's for sure.
I'm not doing neither. So James Lott Jr. doesn't do neither. There's certain things I just don't do. I'll dress in a wig and take a picture, but other than that, I'm not climbing on milk crates. That's not happening. That's just, no. Nope. I'm not gonna do that. I'll leave it to everybody else to do that, and they get their views that way. But I guess it all comes down to how life has just changed for us. I mean, in our lifetime, how entertainment and how we get entertainment and how we see entertainment, it's just completely just morphed and changed, and it's going at warp speed. I mean, it's still changing. We're here on Zoom. This was a meeting app for corporate people, everybody to talk to have meetings, and now we're doing shows on it. That's just, to me, it's amazing. It's just amazing to me.
You're a visionary.
I wish I had stock.
Me too. I always say that. Why did I know this before the pandemic was going to happen? I would have bought into Zoom, or whoever Zoom was owned by, whoever owns Zoom, I would have bought into it.
Probably Google.
You're probably Google. They own everything. I mean, we have a new over here in Inglewood. We have the new YouTube theater. Nice.
Oh.
So for us down here on this side of town, in my business, it's great because we always have to go way out to the valley. Sorry, valley folks. We have to go way out to the valley, and this traffic is horrible. And the traffic is horrible. It was like 2:30 the other day, 2:30 in the afternoon the other day. And I'm like, where are all you people going? Why are you on the street? I was screaming at the street. Like, why are we going 5 miles per hour on the 405? I pulled out some hair as well. I still got more. But it's just like, I think for us, it's kind of nice to have that, because like talking of Google and YouTube, it's like they next to SoFi Stadium is a new YouTube theater, and I can't wait to go in there and check it out and maybe do some work over there. I'm trying to work with that with them.
Yeah, I'm ready for some live shows. That's for sure. We've been indoors long enough, so I can't wait to see. So we'll come see you perform, James.
See you perform right now. I'll bring with me. No, I'm ready. I'm ready to see live stuff too. I went to the movies for the first time.
What'd you see?
I saw Respect with Jennifer Hudson.
Oh.
It's good.
It was good.
But the revelation of film is Marlon Wayans. Speaking of comedy, he is so dramatic. He's not funny at all in this movie.
Wow.
He plays Aretha Franklin's first husband, and I think Oscar nomination for him. And Forrest Whitaker plays her father.
Oh, okay.
He's always
Great lineup. You know, the Wayans brothers, speaking about growing up with shows, right? I was a little older, but in Living Color, that is such an amazingly talented family.
Oh my God.
All of them. To their credit. They just have amazing talent and gifts. So yeah, definitely want to check it out. How was Jennifer Hudson in the role?
She just opens her mouth and magic just happens. I mean, it's just, her voice, I cried a couple of times. I will admit it, I got teary eyed a couple of times. When she sings Amazing Grace, when she sings, but she's really good. She's a good actress. She had Aretha's voice a little bit. It was still kind of generous, so she had a little inflection of how Aretha would talk. She wasn't over the top with it. Like, she wasn't trying to do a caricature of her. She was just kind of like, this is my spin on Aretha. And Aretha sanctioned the film and sanctioned her.
Oh, okay.
She gave it a blessing and said, I want Jennifer to do it. Because they think, how many voices can really do Aretha? I mean,
not many.
Not many. So she did. Mary J. Blige shows up as Dinah Washington, has a really great role in that too. She's really good there too. But Jennifer does I think Oscar nomination for sure. I think she just does. It does a great job. You forget she's Jennifer Hudson after a while. That's always a clue for me. Where I can actually, I just watched Bohemian Rhapsody.
And I loved it.
It was so good.
Brian, did you see it?
Yeah, so good. And you do. You feel like you're no longer watching an actor. You're watching, Freddie Mercury up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, Remy Malek did it. I mean, I'm sure those prosthetic teeth and everything.
Oh.
How do you act with all that?
All day.
All day.
Yeah.
How do you act with that? And he got the Oscar for it. I mean, totally deservedly so.
Well deserved.
But again, watching these films, I watched Rocket Man 2 recently. I did those.
Yeah.
It's like, just remember all the songs.
Yeah.
Queen had so many. We grew up with, Queen had so many hits. Aretha Franklin had so many hits. Like every song they played, it was just like, that was a hit, and that was a hit, and that was a hit. I remember that song. I remember that. I mean, it was like, that's the other thing you get reminded of too. And I see why I ran to Spotify afterwards. Going, okay, I want to get this. I want this. I'm all of a sudden reminded of all these songs.
Yeah.
And there's a great documentary coming out, just on a side note. They showed the trailer. It's called Jesus Music. It's all these Christian artists like Amy Grant, my old friends, DC Talk, all these groups that talk about the evolution of Christian. And they included Striper. If anybody's from the 80s, there was a heavy metal Christian of Striper.
I remember the name.
No, you will remember. They were like Bumblebee outfit, kind of latex and everything, but they were heavy metal. And they include them in the documentary, so I want to see it so bad to see what they say about it. But I mean, and I just love Amy Grant also. They had Amy Grant, Michael W. Smith. They have all these artists, new and old, talking about doing Christian music. Kirk Franklin doing Christian music while being in the secular world, and it looks really good. So anyway, I just like a little side.
Fun fact about Aretha Franklin: I had heard or read somewhere that she didn't have to rehearse. Like she just showed up, she took her mark.
I believe
Beauty just flowed out of her, and she was a wrap. And people loved working with her because she just showed up, did her work, and that was it.
Well, remember,
and I thought, well, how cool is that?
Yeah.
Somebody that had such a powerful voice, like you felt her, you really felt her, can just show up and stand in front of a microphone and go, okay, I'm ready.
Remember she did that for the famous Grammys. Luciano Pavarotti got sick at the very end, and she did operatic song. That was the one. She showed up. She didn't realize. She's like, and then blew everybody out the water.
Yeah.
I mean, that's just, to me, that's God-given talent. That's just, I mean,
there's without question.
Without question. I mean, to me, you want to know what God is. There it is, right there, in her ability and her voice to just sing an opera at the last minute. I can't do that. Can you do that? I know I can't.
Yeah, I didn't get the call for that, so it wasn't me.
I know I can't do it. Well, but that's just, to me, that's divine intervention to me right there, and that's kind of what and anything like that kind of creation. And you bring up we create content creators. It's divine. It's not easy to do, and a lot of us do have the talents, but not all of us do anything about it. And some of us do. And I decided, for me, later in my life to do it. But that's kind of, you find your calling,
Well, the minute I met you, James, and I bet Bryon might back me up on this, you were destined to be in front of a camera, a microphone, doing your thing.
I went down the James Lott Jr. rabbit hole after I met you the first time. I went on YouTube and I started watching and listening to your podcast. I was like, man, this guy's got an empire. There is not a topic he does not cover. There is not something I can't listen or watch. And then I'm seeing you post about your music. I'm like, this guy's he's like Justin Timberlake out here doing all his stuff. So I have to say, James, you are one talented man. I'm glad you found your talent, even though it was a little late in life, but you've done a fantastic job. So
I appreciate that. And it's funny because Melissa and I know each other nearly 20 years.
Okay.
So you really knew me when.
So she's known you for the. I just got introduced to you just recently, huh?
I know.
So last year. So, but I'll tell you what, it's been a treat.
Yeah, no, I'm a big fan of yours. And it was funny as the episodes that we did together of the IAB Cal podcast are still one of the highest rated and most viewed. So, Bryon, they like us together for some reason. They like us together. I don't.
I keep telling my mom to go back and watch it to get those views up. So my mom's been doing her job. So I'll have to give her some coffee or something.
Well, thanks, Mom. Sure, makes us look good. That's fine.
Right.
So we will end it here. We want to thank you so much, Bryon, for coming on.
Thanks for having me. It was
come back, have coffee with us sometime.
Appreciate it.
With us. And Melissa, so what do you think? We had our second episode with Bryon. We got more people coming on. It's good.
I think we're off to a great start. Bryon, thank you so much. You're just a natural. You're a bruncher. You can show up anywhere, sit down, have some coffee, do some talk.
Anytime.
So thanks for being here with us.
Anytime.
Yeah, and
And so
I have to catch up to you on your handicap. I'm a little bit higher than you are.
We got
I'll
you
work
and I
on
will
it.
golf, and then 3 of us go hit up some bowling, and we'll do this. So
done. I'm in.
Great.
I'm in. This is Coffee and Conversation. I'm James.
And I'm Melissa.
And we will see you next time here on our show.